Hey guys, it's Auntie Ann back with you, and today we're going to make applesauce. I'm going to be using my canning and freezing book from the mid-70s. We're going to be using 3 different kinds of apples, and we're going to sweeten today with honey. Last time I made applesauce I used sugar, but we're going to try honey today. So I put everything here so you can see what you're going to need. You're going to need apples for this recipe. I'm using 6 apples. I'm using sea salt, ground cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, and cloves. Using my local honey. I'm using my Ninja food processor and my apple core peeler slicer machine. There it is, and I will show you a little bit about how to work that machine here in just a minute. You'll also need a pot, a strainer, and a potato masher. You will need a cutting board and a paring knife as well. Okay, so here is my apple core peeler slicer, and the first thing that I'm going to do is pull this part back. You just push with your thumb here and pull that part back. There's a little screw on the end. We're going to take the slicer part out because I don't want it sliced. I'm going to hand slice myself. So you just twist that little nut, it drops down, and it will go hang like that. Just tighten it back up. And drop this back, put your apple in. Your apple, put that side on, slide it on, and you reach down here and click this part because we're going to turn it and it's going to peel the apple. Put my pot underneath so that it can catch everything for me. And then you just start turning and it will just peel your apple. I'm going to save the peel because I'm going to use the peel for apple cider. And you just push that part back down, pull your apple off, and there it is. So yesterday I was going to make this video, and then I thought I had a massage appointment, so I went ahead and peeled them all and took off to massage, got there and didn't have the appointment. It was today. So today, super handy, all my apples are already peeled. We'll put that at the sink. And we're just going to go ahead and pull our apples out. You can remove any of your extra peel, just put it right into your pot. If you're not going to make apple cider, you don't have to do this. You can just toss it to your compost bin or straight in the trash or however you do it. And I don't really worry about this part up here too much because I can get it whenever I'm coring and slicing. So what I did to keep these apples from turning is I put them in a little bit of citrus and salt water. I just made probably about 2 tablespoons of salt, put in a little bit of water, mixed it all up, took my lime, squeezed my lime all over each apple and filled it up with water. It kept them from turning. You can tell that it actually kept them from turning. And let me show you how I'm going to cut my apples. You can chunk them. I'm just going to do slices. It's easier for me. Just cut it in half and then in half again, so you end up with 4 pieces. Then I turn it to the side and cut that middle out. And like I said, I'm using all of mine to go ahead and make cider. So all I'm going to end up pulling out of the middle there is the seeds, and I'll do that here in just a minute because I forgot what I was doing. Okay, so I got my apples in the pot, and we're just going to cover them with water. You don't have to cover them all the way, just cover them until they float. Perfect. And now we'll put them on the stove and get them cooking. You can see that the apples are starting to bubble a little bit, so now is a good time to go ahead and add whatever sweetener you're going to use. I think we're going to go ahead and use sugar this time because I realize I'm a little low on honey, so let me grab that. So the recipe in the book says to use 1/4 of a cup to 1/2 cup of sugar, and I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle some on the top. Probably about 1/4 of a cup. Yeah, you'll notice how it kind of gets a little foamy, I guess is what you would call it. And the reason I like to put the sweetener in after it's hot is because it just goes ahead and dissolves real quickly at that point. That is the absolute only reason you can put your sugar in at any time that you want. Or you don't have to use any sugar at all if you're diabetic or something, or don't like eating sugar for whatever reason. You could use your stevia, you could use blue agave, you can use your honey. I've been trying to use more and more honey and steer away from the sugar, but I just realized how low I am on the honey. So we're going to go ahead and go with the sugar. You can also use brown sugar if you wanted. Just gives it a little bit more, I guess, rich flavor. Whatever brown sugar does is what it does. So you can see those are, maybe you can see, they're starting to get soft. When I can poke a fork into them, all of them, because remember we use 3 different kinds of apples, so try to make sure that I can poke a fork and then they slide off the fork easy. That one doesn't want to slide off quite so easy just yet. And it's getting where it looks like it's going to boil over, so I turn my heat down. Grab my wooden spoon. We'll see if that trick really works, huh? Looks like it's going to. So I'm going to go ahead and let those cook probably for another 10 minutes. And we'll be back. So the wooden spoon over the boiling pot actually works really, really well. And I cook by sight and smell, so I notice that I don't think it smells cinnamony enough for me. I'm going to go ahead and shake a little bit more cinnamon on it. And if you are just wanting to do spiced apples, you could cut your water back to about 2 cups to where your apples are just barely floating, not actually covered. And cook these for maybe 10 minutes. They'll get soft and they're super tasty. I think it's Chili's or Applebee's or something that has the spiced apples on the kids' meal. Is very, very similar. Okay, so my apples are done cooking now, and I'm just going to bring my apples over and pour them through my metal strainer into the bowl to separate the apples from the liquid. You can leave liquid in the bottom because you don't want a dry sauce. Well, I don't want a dry sauce. If you like a dry sauce, you go ahead and drain out most of the water. So let me get my fork and show you how the apples are super soft. They're just limp, I guess. The kids told me they didn't like the texture. They said it tasted like it blew up and there's nothing inside. It's just an empty apple shell. So that's how you want your potatoes, your apples to look. Ha ha, I call them potatoes. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to save the liquid there to use in case we get dry applesauce. And I'm also going to make it into apple cider. So now we have our apples separated, and we're going to put them in the food processor. At this point, you could just mash them in the pan like a mashed potato. And when you get it to the consistency you want, you're done pretty much. Let me run my apples through the processor and we'll show you finished product. One more thing before I run these through the food processor. I always like to check them for flavor, and I forgot to tell you guys to do that. So you can check your apples for flavor now, or you can wait until it's all mixed up, but I just like to add my extra spices to it before I blend it. So let's see what you think. Okay, yeah, it definitely needed some sweetener. So we're going to go ahead and add half a teaspoon of cinnamon and half a cup of sugar. And that should get it where we want it to be. I'll be back in a second. And there we have it. Homemade applesauce. The guys are going to be excited when they get home. I finally got it made. Let's taste it and see. It's so hot. Warm homemade applesauce. It's wonderful. Thanks for joining me on our applesauce video today. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.